Dang, you got like 3 feet of air.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today, man, we're taking a trip down memory lane here. Now obviously, not all my videos are truck and car related. You know, I have some bicycle stuff, I have my motorcycle stuff, and now I've added one more to the fleet. Couldn't help it. Too good of a deal to pass up. When I was 13, I bought one identical to this thing, and that was my first mode of transportation. I went everywhere on one of these and have been looking for one for a while, honestly, but they are a blast to ride. It's basically the equivalent of riding a motorized 20-inch bicycle. It's not even, it's actually a little bit smaller. Here you go. How's that for a size comparison? It's been sitting forever. It needed a little bit of work, and I'll go into that as we go along here. But otherwise, totally complete bike with a title, so it's all legal. So we're gonna dive into some of those today, get this thing running, what I think is gonna be probably phase 1 of this project, and just take it out for a spin. See what we can hit for top speed, see how it cruises along, and then we'll go from there. So let's dive into this thing. Now I'm gonna kind of speed run through some of this initial stuff because part of it is I've already been working on it, and the other part of it is some of it, like this guy right here, has taken me quite a while to do, so it wasn't really worth filming, but you can see the end results, and maybe this will help you with yours because those are getting hard to find. You can see something weird's going on with that one there. And wait a minute, something weird is going on with that one there. Well, that's actually because they're both made out of super glue. It's going to be hard to tell because I've already fixed it all. Oh, no. Now, when I picked up this moped, it did have some issues. Of course, the headlight itself was completely burnt out. All the lights on the bike are. It had a crack here. It had a crack here. That leg was broken off. And of course, that tab back there was broken off. And they basically just had the bucket taped into the headlight. So what I did was I used super glue and just recreated that tab, and then also backfilled all the cracks and glued this together. Just used it to reform these instead of having to buy a whole one. Mixed up some of my sign paint that was a close-ish match. And, you know, it's not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot better than it was. And speaking of being perfect, I did want all the lights to work, so I went ahead and picked up this K&L headlight. It does have the replaceable bulb in case I have any issues in the future. As this thing comes out of the box, the only thing I really had to change was I cut the end off my factory bulb, so I had this two-pronged connector and just butt connectored it in. It's a headlight, who cares? And that way I can hook up my indicator for the high beam as well. So one of the things I'm going to be changing out just for ease of maintenance, I guess, is the spark plug boot on this bike. Now, the factory spark plugs are a non-resistor type, and the way they get around that is they use a resistor type cap. Now, if I ohm this thing out, you can see I'm right around 5,000 ohms, and that's on purpose. That's how you get away with running a non-resistor type spark plug. Now, the more common and readily available resistor type spark plug that you can get pretty much at any parts house would use a non-resistor type cap. Now, I picked up these NGK caps just on eBay, and you can do the same if you're having trouble finding spark plugs. You don't want to mix and match. You don't want to run a resistor spark plug and a resistor boot. Now, it'll work, but it's not going to work as well. So you can see that one has no resistance. And again, I'll go back to the factory boot off the bike. And there we go, 5,000 ohms. There's a little stud in there that's threaded, and that just screws right onto your spark plug wire. So that's all you gotta do. to change this thing out. Here you can see the end of the spark plug wire, maybe. It'll focus. There we go. Just a solid core wire, not like your typical car spark plug wires. So super easy. Just thread that new boot in and you're set to go. Here we go, new spark plug boot installed. I did put a little bit of heat shrink on here because it just had a few cracks in the insulation, just to keep that from causing any issues. But I do need to run to the parts store now and pick up some resistor style spark plugs. So I might get a couple different heat ranges just so I can play around with that. But yeah, easy as that. So obviously off camera, I have already switched to this, China repop carburetor that I got off eBay. Now, one thing I do like is it's got the manual choke here, which works way better than that factory style, whatever they want to call it, choke. It is a little bit larger opening here, so beware of that. If you already have some kind of aftermarket air cleaner, this will not fit your factory air cleaner. As far as the cable itself, that was pretty easy. Actually, this is all the original factory cable, factory top on it. I just took and switched out the slide, and that was it. Bolt the thing on and put some gas to it, and it was ready to go. Other than that, little fine tuning, and ended up pulling the bowl off because it is a slightly larger carburetor than stock, and opening up some of the jets, and I'll show you what I used to do that. Now, I'm not a super fancy dude that has all the super fine machine bits and, drill bits and all that stuff, but what I do have is a torch, and this old torch cleaning set, the tip cleaning set, works great for opening up the jets on these little tiny carburetors. I used the absolute finest one I had on the idle circuit. I ran these into the main jet until I couldn't fit one in, and then backed off to the next smallest one, opened it up a little bit using that next smallest one that fit it just right until I could get the next size up cleaner through that jet. Now, what does that equate to? I have no idea, because these aren't sized. There's no numbers or anything on them to tell you what size you're using. I just know that I went up basically one jet size, I would assume, and seemed to work pretty good. So if you're on a budget and you don't have the money to go buy one of those kits, or you don't have access to the aftermarket jets for these carburetors, these things work really well. So speaking of aftermarket air filters, the two K&N pod filters that I had for the factory carbs don't fit anymore. So I ended up picking up this brand new, super fancy uni filter, and yeah, should look pretty cool. Cool sticker. That's instantly 10 horsepower. So if I did my math right, this thing should fit right on there. Perfect. The funny part about doing stuff like this is that may seem stupid, like just a little air filter, whatever, who cares? But I remember being a teenager and seeing guys having, filters like that on performance bikes and stuff like that. And, it's not expensive. I think that thing was 10 or 15 bucks. But as a kid, you don't have any money. You have all the time in the world, but you don't have any money. It's just little dumb stuff like this that being able to actually afford the parts I need for it feels pretty good. Let me know if you can relate to that. Right, well, as you've seen throughout the video, my seat's been off pretty much the whole time. And that's because I've had this guy over there on the charger pretty much boiling for about a week. It should be okay for now, but you really want to make sure on these things that you have a good battery in them. I have ordered a new battery, and it's on the way, but I want to ride this thing. Hopefully I don't blow out any bulbs. You never know. I'm gonna plug this bad boy back in. Tuck everything away where it goes. Slap the seat back on, and then I think we're about ready to fire this thing up. See what it'll do. Uh-oh. It'll be fine, right? Yeah. Well, that went about as well as I figured it would. Hauling my skinny self around. Anyway, I ended up getting about 25, 26 miles an hour out of the thing, which, like I said, is about as good as I expected. It is what it is. So I'm really happy with that. I cannot complain. Now, of course, I could do the sensible thing and leave it alone. Maybe fine-tune it a little bit more, finish cleaning some stuff up, and, just enjoy it as is. Lame. Or I could do what the teenager in me would have wanted to do and add some cool parts. More power! Probably in the next video. We got some exhaust. Got the higher compression head off one of the newer ones. And of course the gaskets to go along with it. And some oil for the transmission. And then, just a sign of my boredom from the time, a ported intake that of course I polished. And some larger reed valves to go along with it off of a newer moped. So, what do you think about them apples? I'm actually kind of glad I kept all my old moped stuff from back in the day. May come in handy on this one. So I hope you join me for the next one, where I think we're going to go for land speed records, maybe?
Whoa!
Probably not. Anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Hope you enjoyed this blast from the past. I know I sure have. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. What do you think about the moped?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay. You don't think anything of it? It's not cool?
No.
No? Why not?
It would be cool if it said Evan Wells.
Maybe it will.